That's a spoiler.
A24 has been responsible for producing some of the greatest movies of the 21st century. From intense movies like Uncut Gems or masterpieces like Midsummer, A24 has released film after film of absolute bangers. Even some of the movies I'm not such a big fan of have a certain uniqueness about them that makes them stand out from the traditional horror movies we get every year. Recently, I watched the movie X from the director Ty West. Hope I'm saying that right. The other movies I've seen from him are not much to write home over, but X is phenomenal. Going into the movie, I was optimistic, but I'm an asshole. So like always, I was a little skeptical. Like I said previously, there are many movies I've loved from A24, and there are a few I haven't really liked. I hate It Comes at Night. The setup for this movie is exactly what you might expect. A group of people stay at a place that isn't theirs, and shit gets weird. Simple concept, right? But the way X goes about the weird shit is what makes this movie stand out for me. To briefly sum up the beginning plot for the movie, Wayne, this guy, wants to make the best porn movie ever. He asks a couple of adult actors and his main squeeze to help him make the movie. They have plans to film the movie at a farmhouse in Texas owned by these creepy old people. Now, if I just told you that plot, I'm sure without seeing the movie, it sounds generic as hell. But what separates X from the other films of its genre is that X doesn't rely on traditional tropes to push the plot forward. It relies on its characters. Everyone in the cast is here for a reason, and pretty much everything we hear and see has a callback to later points in the film. There was a point in the film where I was a little annoyed, and it was something minor, but like I said, I'm an asshole. When Maxine was going for a swim and the alligator popped up for no reason, I was about to get on my high horse and say, cheap ass jump scare. But later in the film, I believe it was the old man who said the lake has gators, and it was called back again when the blondie from Pitch Perfect was pushed into the water by the old lady who was also aware of the gators in the water. And from that moment on, I just shut up. Shut your mouth. Speaking of the oldies, they added to much of the enjoyment that I had for this film. Most horror movie villains are so supernatural that it actually just takes me out of the movie altogether.
You're behind the couch.
What? How do you know that?
The old lady Pearl has a desire to feel that lustful sensation again, and she feels she never will. And the old man is just mean.
That's one ugly son of a bitch.
I think the director made the right choice focusing in on the villains of the story because it actually makes the vibe feel much more intense. You know what I hate in horror movies? When the villain only shows up when it's convenient for the plot to have them there. Oh no, don't open that door, the boogeyman is right behind you.
You're dead. You are dead.
Or, I'm gonna have to drive away 10 blocks, hope that normal human serial killer hasn't caught up to me. In X, I know exactly where the old people are when shit's going down, and I know why they are where they are. The scene when RJ wants to leave after his girl pulls a fast one on him. The audience knows he won't be able to leave too easily because the old lady just had some repressed memories and now she's angry. This leads to my next point, that when all the main characters of this movie split up, it actually makes sense. What? I know, what a concept. Recently, I just saw the new Scream movie. I know I'm a little late. And I must say, I didn't care for it or remember most of the scenes, and I just saw it a couple days ago. But what I do remember about that movie that pissed me off so much was how the characters just kept splitting up. Why would these group of teens, who are like 90% aware of the fact that at least one of them is the killer, be walking off into the dark alone? Think I'll go for a walk outside now. Also in the movie, the jock character decides to go look into the darkness to find his girlfriend. This is literal minutes after he just said he didn't want to go in a room alone with her because he thinks she might be the killer.
Seriously, what the fuck are you doing?
It's almost like we need him to die, but we still need to confuse the audience enough so we don't know who the killer is. Or it's just lazy writing. Oh hey, you're in this movie too? In X, when all the characters are split up, there's a chain of events that leads to each character leaving the house, which makes complete sense. Now, is X a perfect movie? Of course not. No cinema is without sin.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
There's only two questions I have about the movie that could possibly take some points off of it for me. The first is, why is everybody watching that video from the pastor? Like, I know it's 1979, but there's something else on, right? This is more of a nitpicky thing, so I'm not gonna go into it too deep, but it's still a little weird to me. The other problem though, changes one important scene for me. There's a scene in the movie when the old lady kills RJ and starts dancing like the Joker.
Yes!
Yes, queen. Go off, girl boss.
I interpreted that scene as the first time she's felt alive in years. The whole movie, she's been thinking about sex and her old life as a dancer, and she feels complete once again after murdering someone.
Murdering some ass.
But later on in the movie, when Ellie from You is locked in the basement, we see another person that was previously being held captive. This kind of makes that moment when she's dancing seem a lot less important to her overall story, and I don't know, maybe she just likes dancing. Now there is a chance that only the old man was the crazy person and she never really experienced something like killing multiple people in one night, but I'm gonna just call bullshit on that. Also, I'm aware of there being a sequel happening soon that maybe explains some of the events that happened previous before the events of this movie, but I'm still just looking at this movie and this is kind of a problem for me. But even still, overall, I'd give this movie a 9 out of 10. And if you know me, you know I never give horror movies that high of a praise. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to check out some of these future A24 movies coming out because them shit's fire.